In this Zoom quick tip, I want to show you how to leverage the breakout rooms feature, which is a really useful tool for creating opportunities for students, uh, department level groups, what have you, to collaborate in small groups before then bringing them back to your main meeting. You do want to make sure that this meeting room feature is enabled in your settings. So first place we're going to go is to our Zoom profile. Show you mine. And you can see here that if I go up to my profile, I am looking at my pconnors at nsd.org account. So it should say that this is a licensed or pro account. On the left-hand side, underneath your profile, you'll be going down to settings. And you can see that this jumped it right down to me because that's what I had this open to earlier. But if it does have you up at the top, you click on In Meeting Advanced. These are just bookmarks to help you navigate around this very long settings menu, but it's the first thing in advance. So you have to set up the room or set up that setting. And once it's on, you'll see the option in any meeting that you're hosting. There is this allow hosts to assign participants to breakout rooms when scheduling. It says it's a beta feature. This is what this symbol generally means here is that there's some condition on its use. I have that unchecked right now just because I don't usually set up my meetings with known participants ahead of time. So turning that on just doesn't really matter to me too much. I also am not sure that everyone I'll be working with has that 4.5 or later. If you're working with your staff members here in the district, though, they all do. I think we're up at like 4.7 or so with the desktop client that's already installed on your Macs. So once that's enabled, you'll want to go ahead and start a meeting. And you do that either in your profile on the web or from this desktop client. I want to make sure that I've turned on those settings for the right account. So I'm looking at my desktop client and I see pconnors at nsd.org. That lets me know that the settings I manipulated are going to affect the account that I'm signed into on the desktop. If you see at apps.nsd.org on one of those, then you kind of have your logins out of sync, and it's good to make sure that you're logged into the same account on both the desktop app and the website. So then go ahead and join a meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead and start a meeting. So you want to be the host of it, so you'll go ahead and hit start. I had to do a little setup on my end to make sure that I had some fake participants to be a part of this. So I've already started my meeting, but you'll hit that start meeting. However you enter it, join one that you've already scheduled. Once that setting is enabled, you're good. So get into a meeting, and you'll see that you've got your black screen on your Mac that lets you know if you move your cursor around, you should see that you have uh, folks already here in this room. If I look down, it says manage participants. And you can see here that I don't have any participants in this room. The reason I don't have any participants is because the two participants that joined this meeting earlier are in breakout rooms. I'm going to go ahead and show you where that console is. I'll pull them back and then I'll show you how to assign them back out. So now that I turned on that setting, next to record, I now have this breakouts room console. And this is definitely a more expert level usage in Zoom. A really cool feature, but it definitely requires that you are agile with the tools that are available to you down here at the bottom of this bar. So click back breakout rooms. I know that I have participants because I know I can see them in my breakout rooms. So I have instructional technology and clone of myself, so aptly named repeat. Um, they are in two separate breakout rooms. Maybe I've got them just in kind of a holding pen there. You can imagine that if there were four participants, maybe these two would be having a conversation about a piece of group work that they're on, or if I could have if I was an elementary school principal, I might have different grades different breakout rooms for my different grade levels, and those folks could be chatting within those. So let's say that that's been going on. I've had my people chatting. I'm going to close all those rooms. And I'm just going to confirm this. As the participant, you kind of have to accept that the person closed those, so you get a little notification on your end. And you can see now that I've drawn those participants back into the main room. So let's say they had their 5 minutes of chat time, and now we've done another 20 minutes in our main session, and I can look at this console and say, okay, like if I want to push them back out to their rooms or I want to shake things up, I can move people around. I can so I could say, all right, no, I want these two people to chat together. So I move them into the same room. Okay, instructional technology, I want them to go back to room 2, so I push them away. I can exchange people for people, so if for some reason instructional technology and repeat needed to switch spots, I don't have to push one and then push the other. I can just exchange them. You'll also see that if I scroll my cursor up above any of these rooms, I have the option to rename them. So if I was going to say be doing a all morning long session with an entire school, and we had breakout rooms based on grade level, I might rename these breakout rooms to reflect the people who are going to be a part of it. That might be something I do when I schedule the meeting, or it might be something that I do once, the 15 minutes before people start to join the meeting. You might, if you've watched my waiting room meet quick tip, you might have heard me say that I like to use the waiting room feature so I can get into a room early and set up things like virtual backgrounds or like breakout rooms. So I could have done some of that ahead of time. So now that if the rooms right now are closed, I'm going to open all the rooms up again, which is going to put an invite onto the participants that says, hey, you're being told to join a room. They accept that invitation on their end, and now you can see those folks are in their separate rooms. And now I could come into this situation and join a room. So if let's say that I'm a para that's going to be given some particular instruction to one student during independent work time, I could come in, click join room 1, and now my screen is letting me know that I'm essentially changing meetings. I'm moving into this breakout room, and now I can see that the two people in this room, and again, being agile, I want to look at those participants lists, is me as the host, my privileges carried into the room, and this instructional technology account. If I look at my breakout rooms, I can see I moved into this room with instructional technology, and that leaves repeat out or over in breakout room 2. No one now is in the main room. The ways to get myself or everyone back to the main room would be to either close all the rooms, leave the room, or leave the room myself. I can also down here at the bottom broadcast a message to all participants. So I could say something like 5 minutes remaining. If I had given students, say, 10 minutes to do a small group work activity, and I'm looking down on my phone and my Chromebook here, and I can see that I just received this message from the teacher that says this thing about there being 5 minutes remaining. That was for repeat. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this room. And I've still got my folks out in the rooms. I'm going to close the rooms. Clicking down on my devices, I have to accept that I'm being moved back to the main room. It says it'll do it after like a minute automatically, but it gives folks that opportunity. So you can see right here, it's not obvious to the host that these people are out of those rooms other than it says not started and open all rooms. That lets you know that the breakout rooms, while their assignments exist, the rooms are now closed. But again, thinking about being agile in the Zoom format, I look across the top. Yep, there's all my people. Go to manage participants. They're all here. So then just to show you a couple or a few settings of how you can do a little bit more with your breakout rooms. So before you've created them, because once you've created them, you're kind of locked into some settings, but you can see that there's an add a room feature. So if I had more participants, this was going to be K, this one's going to be 1, and then I'm going to add a room for grade 2. I'm just working with those 3 grades. We haven't, our second grade teaching team hasn't arrived yet, and only a couple people from K, or that represent first and K are here. So, no big deal. Those folks are ready to go. Then those rooms are all set up. Now, if I go over here to the options area, I have this move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. That can be based on if I assign them ahead of time, then, or if I have them in the waiting room, I can assign them. And then when I let them into our session, they go right into their breakout rooms. So if I was going to start the meeting with grade level teams, that's a good one to have checked. Allow participants to return to the main session at any time. Really up to you if you want to make sure that folks, you kind of think of it almost as if students were working in the hallway. Yeah, they could come back to you, but if you're kind of hosting your own breakout room in the main room, maybe you don't want to allow that. So that checkbox is something to consider. Closing the breakout rooms after a certain amount of time is an option. And then you have a countdown after closing the breakout room. So that's kind of when I said that I had a minute there to accept the closure before it would kick me out. Gives the people that are in the breakout rooms a little bit of time to finish up what they're doing. If, say, you had a very strict turn and talk, you might say that that's going to be a zero, and folks have to monitor their own time. I'd imagine you probably do want some kind of time there just so people can finish their thoughts, or if they're working in there, so they can do some kind of wrap up for their work. You can see that there's in this recreate button, say I wanted to shake things up here. I only have 2 participants, so the result is going to be the same, but you have a condition of assign 2 participants into how many rooms. If I say 2 participants into 2 rooms, and I say automatically, we'll recreate them. Notice the names got wiped, and it doesn't really look it, but the people were reassigned. I mean, it can only be in one or the other. But if I had a large group of people here and I wanted to just say, okay, I'm going to put you in the breakout rooms for 5 minutes to talk about how your homework went and compare, your work, then I might just leave this as automatic, recreate the rooms, and then open them. Because remember, this is just assigning people to the rooms. This is the button that actually says, okay, shove everybody off into those rooms. So if you have levels groups or set groups that people are often working in, you could have done that in the scheduling, or you could manually go through and say, okay, this many rooms, and recreate them, and then go through and say who's going to go and where. The automatic, really nice for just a quick popcorn, off they go to meet with whoever the system assigns to them, but also nice to have the manual there to be able to build that however you like. All right, so that covers it for breakout rooms. Again, big things to remember is that it does need to be enabled in your settings. So you do have to make sure that you go over to your Zoom settings and turn it on. And then remember that there's the process of assigning people, well, really creating rooms, assigning users to them, and then opening the rooms. So you have to make sure you do all three of those things. And then as far as if you want to move between them, it all happens from this breakout rooms console. So you want to be checking out your participant list to see, who's where in the main room. But if you think, oh, where'd all my people go? It's click that breakout rooms menu, and you'll see that they are allocated to the breakout rooms if you've opened those rooms. Because otherwise, a breakout room really just appears to be another meeting, and that's how it functions. It's a meeting that you can move between. Thanks for joining us for this extra quick tip with the advanced skill of using breakout rooms in Zoom.